Okay, so right now it's August the 31st. We're about to come to the end of the month, and on this very good Sunday, I wanted to. Oh, I forgot my mic's right here. And if you look at the time, right before this very good month ends, I wanted to just really talk on the mic. I just felt cool to talk on the mic. Yeah, as you see, we got the new DJI Mic Mini. I got it attached to the cable cause I saw a bear man online, like you see bear guys online with their forks and that, attaching it to the little magnet. You know, I'm just begging for views as well, so why not? As we approach this new day, should be coming any second, it will turn September the 1st. And what makes that crazy to me, see, it's just turned 1st of September. What makes that crazy to me is that it's almost been a month since I started this YouTube channel, or this social media platform, building like a social platform for myself. And along this path of building it, I've found a lot of doubt in myself. Like, I've never doubted myself so much in my life. Like, I found myself, like, I have these plans I want to execute. I have this vision, but then, you know, the vision becomes blurry at times because you have that self disbelief in yourself. Like plenty of times, I can't tell you how many times in this little first month of starting, I wanted to quit. And why is that? You see on social media, you see a lot of people, they're doing it their way. You got a lot of different people, and it's really hard to be individual in a world that normalizes, which normalizes trends and a lot of content. Like I remember yesterday I was watching a lot of content and just on these guys, I remember like I had to tap into every time I give I had to tap into why am I starting this? And I remember the reason why I've been starting this is from watching people like Kobe Bryant, and I'm talking these guys in their prime, just their mentality. I remember when Kobe was just, his love for the game and just him talking about waking up at 5 a.m., making his, 1,000 shots in the morning, that type of stuff. Conor McGregor, man, in his prime, he definitely had a downfall. But Conor McGregor in his prime, man, like, the mentality on that guy, the sheer desperation, the love for his art, his craft. And the main thing I liked about Conor McGregor, and it's kind of ironic because it reflects the situation that he is now. He described his love for the game like art, and he said he wanted to get lost in the art like Vincent van Gogh. If you guys know about Vincent van Gogh, he relates this as Vincent van Gogh got crazy as he indulged further and further into the depths of his craft, which is kind of the exact same thing that happened to Conor McGregor. We see Conor McGregor right now, he is, definitely fell into the traps of, the upper class world, you know, greed, you know, greed, all these bad things. I don't want to speak too much on it because, like, I have so much respect for this man, but you can definitely say he is a key example of this. And the funny thing is, he turned into everything he said he hated before, which is crazy. And I was seeing this again with Kanye West as well. Seeing again this Kanye West as I'm watching his documentary just recently, as I was seeing how, if you look at Carl watching his documentary Genius, the Kanye trilogy, and I've previously only watched episode 1 of his documentary trilogy, whatever, and just seeing that guy's vision, whoa, captivating. It really is captivating. It really just gives you that sense of, what can happen from delusional self-belief, the power of it, but then with delusional self-belief it comes pride. And it's funny because even his mom was talking about it to him in the series. She used the analogy of a giant will look in the mirror and see nothing. So therefore, once your ego gets too far away from realism, that's when you will fall. It's even kind of funny because it kind of relates to what my pastor was saying at church today on this Sunday. He was talking about how if we build a lifestyle, made out of sand, perfect fantasy lifestyle, made out of sand from the ground up, just for a summer day, once the storm comes, it will blow away. And what this made me think about is foundation. Where do your beliefs come from? Where does your desire come from? Why are you doing it? Who are you doing it for? What drives you? What gets you up in the morning? Why do you strive this path that is hard for most people? And I think for me, that's why I really feel like my faith, if my faith is a foundation of everything that I do, I really don't see a way that I could fail. I feel like if I put God first in this journey, especially from now, I really don't see a way that I can fall. And this been a thing that I've been saying a lot lately. And I found on this one guy's TikTok, random guy's TikTok, Christian brother, rate him for what he said. I had to comment on it as well. I had to comment it and said, I've never heard this before. This deserves more recognition and more likes. He said how, as Christians, and, I'm talking about young, ambitious men or even women, as Christians, we seek to make the life we have on this earth our heaven, when really all this really is, our life on this world is really just a test if we can get into heaven or not, which is crazy. Because it's true, we strive for all these short-term and long-term pleasures, and even these long-term pleasures are kind of short-term compared to an eternity in heaven with God. It's crazy how, all these things in the modern world that are normalized are actually have undertones that will slowly break us, and it's crazy how these days comfort is just, the thing that is put above. Like, people feel like they'll get where they need to be with comfort, but it's actually the opposite, Like, I even be saying this stuff about, with my work that I be doing, from the point of God, when I'm running my 5k in the morning, whatever, training for my fight or whatever, it's a privilege that God gave me working legs so I can run. It's a privilege right now how I have a voice, a tongue that I can speak with, so I can use it as a platform and use my ability to storytell, use my gift from God to see things the way I see it, and that's the thing about, storytelling and authenticity in the way you storytell as well, whatever you do in your creative act. Nobody can do things like you. Nobody can do things like you we all see things in a different way. We just, for some reason, we don't use this creative nature in us. And that's what limits. That is what limits us, man. You know, from birth we were pure. You know, we were just, God's creation. That's it. And then as we get older, we're being nurtured with all the wrong things like social media, which is, is training us to think small. It's training us to not use our creative mind. This, over reliance on things like AI now is not, is making us strive away from our inner child in a sense. All these things are making us go away from our creative self. And I think that's really something to just think about for a second, as, it's important, man. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. All these things, man. And maybe I can, just keep doing what I'm doing. And maybe, like, this is, for example, why I have the channel. I know, like, from 2 years away, like, going back into the past, I know that I struggle with these things. I struggle with these mental battles. I struggled with this, need for longing for purpose, and that's how, like, I'm trying to structure my videos right now, create into something where younger me would have watched and it would have got him out of that faster. Because without a doubt, there's a young man out there, he's probably experiencing the same thing I was experiencing 2 years ago. And then in this little, because there's always going to be problems in your life. I probably got problems in my life right now. 2 years later, I'll be making things that relate to me right now. That's probably the content that I'm consuming right now. But what it is like, yes, we have God's word and that. But it's like, because teenagers and all of that are so much on TikTok and Instagram, we do need role models on there, because that's kind of how you're gonna get to them, So I do really think this content creation thing is the one. Like, I think it's important, like, I feel like this is a thing where, like, I have to get the content out.